Good morning. So thank you for coming out this morning. As you all know, we've just finished the visit of our NEASC review team. And the first thing I want to do is to say thank you to all the people in this room, because universally you've worked hard over the last year and a half to prepare the self-study document, to lay the groundwork for what has been just a fabulous visit. And so thank you to everyone in the room. I'm not going to single out anyone because it has really been a community effort. And what has been particularly reassuring is that in the comments that we've received back from the NEASC review team, essentially they are seeing the same things we're seeing. That this, I liken this to going in for an MRI, and the results that we've seen back in effect mirror what we've seen in our own self-study. We know we've got challenges as an institution, but we also know, and this was reinforced, that we have a lot of dedicated people who understand that we have a special mission, that we are training a new generation of world leaders to build peace and democracy and respect for human rights and prosperity and inclusion around the world, and frankly that we walk the walk ourselves, and that we treat our own people the way we expect others to be treated abroad. And that's one thing that I am going to be holding people responsible for, the notion that we live up to our own standards in terms of dignity and respect for each other, the sense of inclusion. And one of the things that the team has just said to us is they've never seen a situation where people have as many great ideas for how to change things in a positive direction than they've seen here. And what that reminds me of my favorite phrase, which you're all getting tired of, but nothing about you without you. And that's something that I expect you to hold me accountable for as we move ahead. I also wanted to thank the team, because not only have they applied all of their past knowledge, all of their past expertise, but they've been open in telling us where we're doing extremely well. And if I can just quote two, I probably shouldn't do this, but we just had a small meeting, and the words amazing, dynamic, impressive, unique, and very important were repeated time after time. And I think they get what we're about. I also think they see the challenges that we have as an institution, and the beauty is that each and every one has offered to be an unpaid consultant to us as we move ahead past this NEASC process. And we will be drawing on them more than they may imagine. So many thanks again to you, many thanks to the team, and I want to ask John Lucas to say a few words, and then we're going to have our MRI expressed for us by Steve Kaplan.
So as I've said before, I want to reiterate the things that our president has said, that really the reason why I came back to S.I.T. was all of you in this room, the passion, the caring, the dedication that this academic institution has. It's not values-free education. It's engaged learning where people care very passionately about issues that we've talked about, social justice and inclusion, that are contested space. And there's a lot of hard and important work that needs to go on. And what you do is you bring passion, caring, and thought to that process every day. What I have appreciated most in my last year and a half has been the way you're willing to give feedback, to listen, and to challenge when we need to be challenged. You have given the senior administration a vote of confidence to continue to lead with you and to lead this institution forward. And I realize it has often been difficult, and I acknowledge that. And so we want to continue this process of working together in a collaborative way to take the very valuable insights we're about to receive, that, as Don has shared, many of you already know, and really put those into action for the coming years. And I want to do that together in partnership with you as S.I.T., which is a fantastic and truly amazing institution that I feel a deep debt of gratitude to be serving as your provost. So with that said, we're going to do something that S.I.T. does very well in the graduate programs, which is engage in an exercise of deep listening. We're going to listen to the feedback that we have today, and I will encourage you all to think about that and reflect on it. But above all, I want you to celebrate the tremendous work that you do, and on behalf of Don and the entire institution, we appreciate your dedication to this institution and to the students whose lives you are helping to shape, and we appreciate the students and the way that they help to shape this institution on a daily basis as well. Thank you.
Good morning. Before I make my comments, I thought it might be helpful. Some of you have met the team, but most of you have not, and you certainly haven't met everyone. So I thought it might be helpful for you to know who's been here and what their backgrounds are. So if each of you could just stand up and say what institution you represent, what your professional background is, and what standard you oversaw. Kathleen?
I'm the Vice President of Finance and Administration for Boston Mutual College down in Boston. We emerged kind of like the way we did from your mission into Ohio Ed. And I've been with the SAT for 20 years. And it seems just about as much change as this institution. And it's a life of
Good morning. My name is Jim Barker.
I think you're okay.
You can hear me, I bet. I've talked to crowds like this before. My name is Jim Barker. I'm the Senior Vice President at Sacred Heart University down in Fairfield, Connecticut. I'm in my 24th year, and I've been overseeing for many years enrollment, student life, and athletics. And it was really, really a pleasure for me to be here. Thank you.
I'm Davis Baird. I'm the provost at Clark University. I got there by way of a faculty career, mostly at the University of South Carolina, where I was a philosopher of science, and then a chair of the department and a dean of an honors college. And I am here to look at standard 3 organization and governance, and it has been really a great experience taking a look at how you all do that.
Good morning. I'm Marlon Coleman. I am a full professor at Kenyon College, and in the past I was an attorney. I'll mention that earlier. At Kenyon College, I have chaired our tenure and promotion committee, our resource and allocation committee, and I served some time in our committee on academic standards. I've really enjoyed my visit here and getting to know S.I.T. and all of you. Good luck. Thank you.
My name is Jay Halfon. I'm the opposite of Davis. I have had a long administrative career, most recently as Dean of Metropolitan College at Boston University. Prior to that, I was at Northeastern University. Prior to that, I was at Harvard University. And I am in transition to a faculty role, and I'm on sabbatical this year. And when I do return to the classroom, or enter the classroom, I will be affiliated with both Metropolitan College and teach courses in ethics and management, as well as with our School of Education and teach courses on innovation and issues in higher education. So it's been a great pleasure. I've really enjoyed this opportunity to get to know this institution.
And which standard?
Standard 4, the academic program, as well as the credit hour section as well.
Hi, I'm Kathy Norton, and I have been with the Marine Biological Laboratory for 33 years, and I was the former director of IT there and the director of all the science libraries for the 5 institutions that are in Woods Hole. And last March, I finally retired. But that isn't really what happened, because I'm still the adjunct scientist in the history of philosophy and science at Arizona State University, and I'm a consultant to the National Library of Medicine for scientific literature reviews and things like that. So obviously my standards were in 7 libraries, and the other standard I did was 10 for public outreach. And I actually have to echo what all of my colleagues have been saying. It has been a pleasure here, the dedication, the commitment that you all have. And I've told everyone that I interviewed a student who said to me, I'd do anything for S.I.T. So that's the feeling that you get when you're here.
Can we get that student's name?
Right.
I'm not sure if she wants to rob a bank for it.
If that student is here, please come forward. Good morning. My name is David Fido, and I'm here representing Wheelock College in Boston, and also represented Wheelock for the last 5 years in Singapore, which was a great experience. My standard was planning and evaluation, the second standard in the group of standards that NEASC lists. I also was privileged to spend a week in Jordan visiting your study abroad program in that wonderful country, and was just amazed by the passion of those students, just as I have been amazed, as we all have, by the passion of the students here and everyone else. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you. And as John said, I'm Steve Kaplan. I'm the president of the University of New Haven. I've been there 10 years. I started my international career as a student at the University of Tübingen in Germany, where I spent almost 14 years studying and eventually teaching. I have a very strong interest in international education, having single-handedly started and built a major international programs entity at a state university in Colorado. Wherever I've been focused on internationalization. So I was more than thrilled when I was asked to chair this site visit. I told the story last night over dinner that when I was interviewing for the presidency at UNH, not the mediocre school over here across the border, but the real UNH, I knew that some of the faculty were concerned that the new president might be looking at which programs weren't sustainable, and I knew some of the engineers in particular were nervous, even though I've actually strengthened engineering. So I wasn't surprised when a faculty member put up his hand and said, I would like to know which academic programs you think are absolutely essential at a university. And I, without missing a beat, said, if it were up to me, every undergraduate in this country, at every school in this country, would be studying one thing, and that's philosophy. And of course, the philosophy professor at the time came up to me and he said, I've been waiting 20 years for someone to say that. Well, I tell you that story for a reason. If every student in this country could, and on this planet, could get the kind of education that you expose your students to, especially globally, this would be an infinitely better world. So all of us have been just thrilled to have the opportunity to be involved here. And to get to know you better and to learn more about what you do, because it really is exhilarating. I want to thank the president and the provost, Carla in the provost office, and everyone else that helped make this a very effective and enjoyable visit. I want to thank all of you for your hospitality, and in particular I want to thank everyone that was involved in writing the self-study, which was extremely informative and far more importantly, was very, very candid, which isn't always the case in these matters. You really did examine who you are in open and candid ways, which not only made our work easier, but gave us the confidence that you understand where you are and what needs to be done. So it really has been a very good visit, a very positive visit. I am not here to tell you everything we are going to put in our report that is actually against the NEASC rules, but just to give you a sense of the process. You heard that these individuals represent various standards. Each of them will be responsible for completing in the next 15 minutes, literally, before they can turn their car engines on, their section of the report that we'll submit to NEASC. That will then be worked on by me over the coming weeks to make it a coherent, consistent whole, to look for any contradictions and so forth. I will then send it back to the team members no later than December 4th for them to review the final report, tweak that once again, and then no later than December 18th, and perhaps earlier than that, I will then get the report to your president, and his role then with his staff is to simply review the report for factual accuracy. Our job is to evaluate you on the performance of the institution on each of NEASC's standards. Are you in compliance? Are you not? We're not here to tell you what to do. We're not here necessarily to give you ideas of what to do, although at times, based on your requests, we will cover things that you think are important that you need to be working on going forward. But the role of the president and the staff, once we've written the report, is again not to debate with us what we found. That's for NEASC to do, but simply to look at it and say, this is accurate, this isn't. Then the report will come back to me with those comments. I'll make adjustments as needed, and the final report is sent back to you on January the 8th or sooner for you to duplicate and send off to NEASC. And then in the spring, at the spring meeting of NEASC, I don't have the exact date, but their meetings are in March and April, the commission will meet. They will review and discuss our report, and then your president and I will be invited to come back to the NEASC Commission for questions and answers, at which point they'll make their decisions on next steps. Very often the next step is recommendations of things you need to do in the interim between now and your next reaccreditation. Sometimes, and this isn't unusual, there will be recommendations that you'll have to report back on in some interim period. Could be 1 year, could be 3, could be 5 years, depends on the nature of the issue. But the whole process is very developmental. It's to help you, frankly, to improve. From my perspective, from the group's perspective, you're at a perfect moment to be going through this process. Your self-study is about the past, and you've got a new administration that is very focused, as I believe all of you are, on the future. So you've got a new administration, a new president who comes here being able to look at the institution with a fresh set of eyes, and that's incredibly important, I'm sure, for all of you, and it will be for NEASC. We've greatly enjoyed getting to know the president. We believe that he's the right person for this moment in your history from everything we've seen, because he obviously understands large, complex organizations like this, and frankly, from what we can see, understands the importance moving an organization forward that transparency plays a great role. And so we're really impressed by the fact that you're having very open discussions about the future, that you're engaged in those discussions, that you're looking at becoming less bureaucratic and a more open organization. And I think that's very impressive, and that's had a significant impact on our work here. Obviously, you're not generating budget surpluses as you have in the past. Everyone's focused on getting you back there. I think that there's a keen understanding of the importance of that, and there seems to be a keen understanding of how to get there. And again, I think all of you have been involved in discussions. My impression is it is a very transparent organization at this point, and that's vital in a complex organization like this. Finally, a few of the team members mentioned this. We've greatly enjoyed the most important part of our work, which is seeing the outcomes of what you do here. We met with your students here on campus. 2 team members visited, Marla visited the campus in Managua, and as you heard, David Fido visited the campus in Jordan. Came back just elated with what they found there, both in terms of staff, but in particular in terms of the students. And in a few weeks, I'm going to do something which I think is incredibly important for this process. I'm going to go to India and visit 2 sites there as the students do their presentations on their capstone experience. And of course, I can tell you, having started international programs, I've started a program, I say I because I literally did this almost single-handedly. I took great pride in building a program in Tuscany, not far from Florence. And when I go there periodically for business reasons with the Lisi and so forth, and I meet the students, it's exhilarating, but nothing is more rewarding than talking to them when they've come back. Because it's at the end that you really see what's happened to them. And so I look forward to that opportunity. Again, you've heard a lot of positive things from us, and I think that's because we all recognize that this is an organization that plays a very, very important role in the well-being of the future of all of us. So I thank you. We've enjoyed this. I look forward to meeting more of your students in the course of my career and helping in any way I can, and I think the other team members feel the same way. Thanks.
So I want to thank Dr. Kaplan and the team again for their warm hospitality as they've worked with us together to identify our challenges and our strengths going forward. I want to acknowledge that this is a global institution, S.I.T. We have a conference line. Some of our academic directors abroad are listening in, some of our faculty and staff from the Washington, D.C. site. This will be recorded. We recognize we can't be on all time zones in a way that's effective. And so we want to thank those of you who are out there virtually listening in, and all of you for coming. What you can expect as next steps is once we have the final self-study, that will be shared. There will be another public meeting where we'll talk about that, and this information will be fed into a strategic planning process that with the vice provost, deans, and directors I've talked about in a letter, and we will begin to shape over the coming months with you, and that will be a participatory process, and you will hear more in the spring as we learn more. Thank you again for coming today, and have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to continuing this process with you over the course of the year. Thank you.
Get on the road before the traffic.
If you stop at the